Hello, and thank you for tuning in to another Major Lindsey in Africa practice area breakdown. My name's Jason Keller, and I'm a managing director in our associate practice group. Today, I'll be discussing the legal work within the real estate practice area. Real estate attorneys play a critical role in ensuring smooth and legally sound real estate matters. They're legal experts with a deep understanding of property laws, regulations, and local ordinances. They handle various tasks including drafting and reviewing contracts, conducting title searches, facilitating real estate closings, resolving property disputes, and providing legal advice to clients involved in buying, selling, or leasing real estate. At many law firms, the real estate group houses various subgroups and specialties. Real estate attorneys often touch on a variety of topics and areas, including transactions, finance, land use, tax, trust and estates, and wealth management. We'll take a deeper dive into each. Let's start with transactions. In this practice area, there are three fundamental tasks: help entities acquire property, help them lease it, and help them dispose of it. The attorneys also work on property rights and easements, but that's a smaller portion of what they usually do. This practice can include finance work if the attorney represents borrowers, but the day-to-day work focuses on negotiation and documentation of transactions. People who like this practice like the fact that you can see the results of your work. Buildings are tangible. It's a practice area where you can become an expert. The practice provides a great deal of client contact, for better or worse. The work is project-based with a pretty quick turnaround, which gives you a feeling of accomplishment. People who are frustrated by this practice are sometimes bored by the repetition of it, and the deadlines can be tight, particularly in leasing, but it can be very fulfilling for those that enjoy working on fast-paced deals. Now, I mentioned finance. I think finance also dovetails nicely with the transactional work in the real estate space. The goal of this practice is to help clients finance construction of hotels, office buildings, businesses, campuses, residential developments, and other projects. It's similar to project finance, though the types of projects tend to be more real estate-based. This work divides between attorneys who represent borrowers and those who represent lenders. When the attorney is representing the borrower, this work can be done by the same attorney who does the transactional practice. Lender work is a separate practice that conflicts with the borrower, with the representation of borrowers. On the borrower side, clients tend to be developers. On the lender side, the work can be very routine. Large banks will have standard agreements and standard practices and concessions. It's easy for a junior associate to learn. Real estate finance attorneys are attracted by the size of the projects, which can be significant. They can work on really headline-grabbing building developments that can be exciting. There's a great sense of accomplishment when the building is built, and these attorneys like the tangible results. Attorneys who don't like this practice can probably also be frustrated by the repetition, but for many, the pros outweigh the cons. Next, we'll talk about land use. The practice focuses primarily on helping real estate development companies use or develop their property. It's common for this practice to have a transactional aspect, as a follow-on to the permitting processes, typically. This is a pseudo-governmental practice, as these attorneys help clients manage the local and state approval processes. The day-to-day work involves project management, organizing logistics with regard to a wide array of professionals on a project, and keeping things on schedule throughout the development through approvals, counseling with clients, and presenting and negotiating with governmental agencies. They also will advise regarding local and state regulations regarding development and use of the property. This practice is less drafting intensive than transactional practice, but these attorneys do review documents drafted by experts such as architects and planners. People who are drawn to this practice are interested in public policy. The results are also very tangible, and there's a lot of opportunity for coming up with creative solutions and a fair amount of negotiation. It demands experience and connections, and can be somewhat tough to break into. But people can get frustrated in this because they're dealing with bureaucratic agencies or not necessarily getting clear answers. But for others, that challenge and that work in government and policy is actually a draw. Let's move on to tax matters within the real estate group. In big firms, this work divides into federal and state and local tax. State and local tax attorneys tend to work more on litigation issues, mostly people seeking refunds or appealing an assessment. Federal tax attorneys divide up into tax controversy, audit and litigation support, and transactional. The federal transactional practice varies by firm and can include cross-border transactions, M&A support, REITs, mutual fund work, and the like. These attorneys do not handle tax returns for companies and individuals. Those are usually done by accounting firms. This is a very complex regulation and rule-driven practice. There are many state-by-state differences, and the federal law changes all the time. There's a heavy burden to keep up with current developments almost daily, but the day-to-day work for tax controversy or state tax practice is similar to litigation. For federal transactional, there's a lot of research, more than in most practices, drafting memoranda and reviewing documents from other departments. There's not a whole lot of client contact as a tax associate at a big firm. Tax attorneys tend to be very highly educated, and an LLM is strongly recommended for someone who wants to seriously pursue this practice area. It's really a service practice and can be difficult to make partner because the departments tend to be a bit smaller. This practice can be extremely deadline intensive as well. But people who like this practice really like the intellectual challenge and like being the expert in a pretty arcane area. It can have an elite feeling to it, and it's perfect for introverts who enjoy intellectual challenges and really like problem solving. Sometimes people who leave the practice do so because it can just really be truly mentally exhausting sometimes, or they don't like the statutory work. Another practice area that can fall within the real estate group is trust and estates. Let's move to that. The goal there is to efficiently transfer wealth between generations and within families, and that includes real estate holdings. Similar to the tax practice, it's a complex statutory practice. The law evolves very quickly, and there's a wide variety of authority, including case laws, revenue rulings, statutes, etc. This is mostly a non-adversarial practice, and the day-to-day work involves drafting of estate plans and subdocuments, counseling clients, and administering estates, both in and out of court. The practice does not have many deadlines. It's a practice that's most commonly found in boutiques, although most big law firms do have a small group. It's a service practice as well, and it can be difficult to make partner, but the reward is helping people really preserve their wealth. People who fail in this practice or don't like it as much sometimes have problems discussing really complex law in very simple terms, or they don't like the complexity or maybe feeling pigeonholed. It can be a tough practice to break into, and it can sometimes be class-oriented. Obviously, it helps if you know a lot of wealthy people or have a financial background. Speaking of wealthy people, let's talk about wealth management and how real estate attorneys can sometimes touch on these matters as well. Wealth management is an investment advisory discipline. It incorporates financial planning, investment portfolio management, and a number of other aggregated financial services, specifically in the real estate space. This practice incorporates representing and counseling high net worth individuals, small businesses, owners, and families. The attorney who specializes in this practice is called upon to coordinate retail banking, estate planning, legal resources, and to offer tax advice and investment management, in this case, usually involving real estate holdings. The term wealth management means different things to different people, and counsel is tailored to the specifics of individual circumstances and goals. The practice involves highly customized and sophisticated investment management tools. Real estate really does touch on a lot of other practice areas as well. I hope this was a brief overview. If you've made it this far and are interested in the roles and responsibilities we discussed today, real estate may be the practice area for you. As you can see, a variety of matters can fall under the real estate umbrella, and it's a great place to build a great legal career. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.